All right, y'all ready?
Yes. Ready for the Ritz.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been waiting all week. And so now it's time. Open that road. Gird your loins to an iron jock because it's time for the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. Poo. Sneaky sneak. All right, y'all. Good news, bad news, other shit. A lot of stuff going on. For those of you who need to know, you can take a look at my visual aids because I have some visual aids up there. Good news. Good news. Okay.
Yay.
Interesting enough, you know how we have these times when you really get signals that the American public has shifted. And you've had a bunch of these. You've had it really, it's funny because I've been watching some of the shows on the 60s, and it's so amazing to think that so many movements, the civil rights movement, immediately followed by the women's movement, and then ultimately the gay movement. All these different movements because the idea that people would go out and seek happiness. Well, you get these moments in time where you kind of get the signal that things have changed. You've had a shift, like you recently had this shift on the public's attitudes toward marijuana. You've had a wholesale shift, so now that you have an older generation who's, some of them still clinging to the older views, and you have a younger generation who totally has a different view of those things. Well, let me tell you what's happened now. One of the latest views has to do with the shift in American attitudes toward quote-unquote illegal immigrants. Because I hate that words. Because I believe in the right of all colonized people to move freely within the colony. So I think everybody in Central and South America should be able to move freely through America because they're our colony. You can't do shit down there that we don't let you do, or we'll assassinate your leader, or try to, unless you do everything you can to hold us off in the one or two countries that have managed to withstand. And remember, we also had a doctrine that said we control this whole hemisphere, right? That was the reason why we told the Cubans that even though it's your own country, the Soviets can't put missiles there, right? We told them. Mm-hmm. So you've had a shift in attitude. 72% of Americans say that undocumented immigrants should be allowed to remain legally in the country provided they meet certain requirements. Probably because most of us now have some form of illegal immigrant in our family somewhere. That's how we got the garage fixed.
Not only that, did you see the movie A Day Without a Mexican?
Oh, I remember like that. Certainly. The day fantasy movie about what if all the Mexicans one day disappear.
Right.
You know, black people not doing that work anymore. So, you know, white folks can't do it. Break those nails, ladies. So now, I've always relied on the kindness of strangers. Anyway, 72% of Americans now say that undocumented immigrants. So this shows you now, certain political groups, this really represents a problem for them. Remember, your Republican leadership tried to take really a soft position on immigration, right? But then their people said, "No, come on." That's when the Tea Party found out what we already knew, that what they think they don't give a shit about what they think either. It's just that they thought they did. This is the average everyday white folks who actually thought their opinion counted because they were white folks. Okay, then they found out. Guess what? Tea Party. No, even if you're a nice, clean crew cut from Phoenix, no, your opinions do not matter because they're going to do what the money says.
Right.
Okay, so besides that, now, as also part of the good news, I guess, new nationwide study finds that the fiscal implications of illegal immigration, once again, that illegal, I hate that time, concluded that illegal immigrants pay $11.8 billion in taxes.
Why didn't you say that first? You know that's the real reason they get to stay, right?
$11.8 billion
right there.
Ting,
ching, ching
in taxes. All right. Well, that's the good news. Now, bad news. Oh, okay, I got one more good news item. How about this? This new show coming out I want to inform you guys about called Mr. Robot. Christian Slater stars in it as Mr. Robot, and it's really being promoted to the urban and Hispanic market. One of the lead characters is a Hispanic. That's the guy Christian Slater is trying to get him to join this group that's a group of hackers that are intent upon attacking the huge corporations that they feel are sabotaging the world. It's a series. USA Network so they call it a hacker drama, Mr. Robot. So coming out, you guys take a look. Looks pretty interesting. It's supposed to be coming out June 24th for a premiere. Okay? Now,
good.
bad news. Serena Williams won the French Open, but people were once again really amazed at the kind of racist and sexist comments that seem to come out. They love to compare black people to animals. You could never be intelligent. They love ape references, okay? But there was a bunch of them, enough that Bomani Jones started responding to him, Vic, to the ones on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
They, just
That is so sad.
so many, and
So
again, just a
sad.
reminder that attitudes are out there.
Yeah.
Now, the big incident, we got to go take a look on YouTube. The big incident happened, no doubt, in Texas.
Of course.
Everything happens in Texas, where I guess these kids who live in a development area where they have a shared pool for the development, had a pool party. I guess some of the kids who had the pool party have black friends or people of other ethnicities. And so somehow the neighbors didn't like it, called the police, said too many kids at the pool. Police responded with 16 police. With all this police incident at pool party, I think it was in Texas.
Oh yes.
You're talking about the
that
one
was
with the-
horrible. Yes.
One with the 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a guy that reported on that who lives at the area. He says, it was about 100 kids there. And there's a limit to who you can bring. So what happens is somebody went on social media
Right.
and start talking about it in the community. It's like a flyer going around in the hood saying, let's go to this party.
Okay. So
So
more
that
people
small
came.
group came and they start jumping over people's property. That was what incited the whole police call, because it's, how you live in certain areas,
Right.
and they have strict rules about what you can do and who you can invite and all this.
Right.
But then you get that small group that crash and bang. So the guy, he's African American. He says, "Look, I seen it." He says, "You guys reported 7 minutes of it. I was here from the beginning. The party was beautiful. It was great. But you get that group that comes in and just say, bang, we're coming in." So what you end up seeing is the policeman handling the 14-year-old girl. But he says, "I'm giving you the 23 minutes or the minutes beforehand."
Oh, I
And then
see.
you know it ain't a black thing. Now that's his eyewitness. He's the guy saying, "Let me tell you, I
Okay,
watched everything."
okay,
He said,
okay.
"It's that undesirable group that you have all in your neighborhood who don't follow the rules. They don't care where you live at, and they start violating your privacy and other people's property." So that's what he said. Now there may be some updates.
And yeah,
tomorrow.
there are a bunch of opinions. Basically, they said there was an element. But for example, you also had a number of the white attendees who said the police did nothing
to them.
to them.
Right.
They said, one of them said, the police acted like I was invisible and ran right to his black friend. He said, anybody black, Hispanic,
Wow.
Middle Eastern looking, that's who they immediately ran to you.
Yep.
Right.
And told you
right.
to get on the ground, and he said they ran right past me. So there was some obvious racial incidents. Now take a look. The part of the thing that goes down, no matter what, does it give the police the right to grab and throw to the ground
14-year-old.
anybody
Right.
for these kind of
Right.
reasons? The other part that's amazing, at one point the same cop who's doing all this stuff, as he's running, does like a barrel flip or something, like he's trying to do some acrobatics, does a roll and
Oh
jumps
my
back on his
goodness.
face and starts chasing, like he's really getting off on this. So here's some of the
A police
stuff.
officer in Texas has been suspended after a video posted online
Look at this, pull
Wow.
up.
yelling at young people and pinning a girl to the ground at a
And then
pool
he
party.
sat on her. This is how they
Police say
treated me when I was a kid.
responded to
He
disturbing
sat on
call
her
Friday
for
evening
like
at a
minutes
community
with his
pool in
knee in the
McKinney,
middle of her
Texas,
back and her face
after a
pushed in the
fight
ground.
reportedly
For
broke
like
out.
right on the
When
video.
officers
Oh, she has
arrived,
a
crowds
lawsuit
dispersed.
coming.
One unnamed officer started yelling commands at
There's the
several
guy
people,
who's-
forced a young girl to the ground and placed her in handcuffs. The officer also
Pulled a gun. That's where he pulled his gun.
And aiming at bystanders.
He pulled his gun. There was what was there to pull a gun for?
Saying officers responded to a disturbance involving multiple juveniles.
But this is how they
at the
always
location
treat black folks.
who do not live in the area or have permission to be there.
So they had people in the wrong, but does that mean you could do this?
Eventually responded to the scene to help maintain control of the area. Brandon Brooks, the 15-year-old who recorded the video, told BuzzFeed many students had been out celebrating school being out at the community pool and were there on guest passes. Brooks said, "I think a bunch of white parents were angry that a bunch of black kids who don't live in the neighborhood were in the pool."
Wow.
The McKinney Police Department has launched an investigation into the incident.
Wow.
For Newsy, I'm Jay Struberg.
They don't have it now. There's a videos up there you can see the like I said. There's no question that people are doing wrong, but then the question is, what would be an appropriate response? Let me give you sort of the parallels that are most striking. Based on the training that officers have today, any person with a severe psychiatric problem is in danger of being killed because they're not even attempting to deal with people. Okay, let me give you an example. If someone is psychotic, yelling at them to do things means absolutely nothing.
Right.
That's like trying to yell to somebody who's deaf.
Right.
Okay?
That's true.
It's absolutely idiotic. Okay? So anybody with a psychiatric disease, of which there are tons walking the streets, why do you think they get shot so often? Because today's standards never were that police were told even the obvious things. Like they would tell you there was when I was coming up, and I don't know when they changed, but I was told by the police that I know that there was no such thing as shooting to wound. There was no such thing of that. No one ever heard of that.
Never heard of that.
You were never trained, and you're always taught to shoot to kill. In other words, the idea of shooting is to prevent them from hurting you. The reason why you use a large caliber weapon is because smaller caliber weapons don't have the ability to shut down the person. You're not supposed to use a gun where you have to shoot them 3 times. You're supposed to have a gun that when you shoot him once, they need to sit down.
Right.
And a 45 is like that. I mean, there are guns you shoot them in the arm and they can lose the arm. You shoot them in the shoulder, they can lose the arm. You shoot them in the leg, they can lose the leg. Okay? That bad an injury is just tearing that flesh apart.
Right.
So there is no shooting to wound. And so this lets people understand where the training and things are. It's not there. A lot of it, when you go look at what the standards were, when they actually, the part that's so amazing, you could just sort of guess, there were essentially no standards. You could just get out of the military and say, I want to be a cop. And in some places, they just gave you a badge.
And you're already trained to kill.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're out having issues with your wife. And that's coming out in the public. Because you have to imagine when these people are ill-trained, that means someone is going to suffer almost every day they work.
Let me ask you something. Did anybody ask the question about where's the 14-year-old girl's parents when that interview was taking place?
I don't know.
No. Well, we haven't heard from them. I know that what the people I heard were from the white people who were upset. Like one of the white girls who was part of the whole party planning or something. Her father was very upset, but then upon hearing all the stuff,
right.
And of course, some of the people, this is Texas. Was it Texas? I think it was. To make sure where it was.
So the 14-year-old,
they were saying, go
was
back
she
to your Section 8 housing.
Oh no!
They were yelling stuff. Yeah, the white girl. This is what the white girl said. They asked her, Frank, what did they say? They were yelling. One of the older men was saying, go back to your Section 8 housing and get out of my pool.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some interviews. There's a lot.
So
there are a lot.
Not that we would have wanted all the kids in our pool, black or white, but I'm just saying. Then you get the added thing. Remember, and there was, like Victor said, there was the issues of people climbing over people's fences and all. You know how kids get when they have gatherings.
Right.
But again, when white kids have gatherings, okay, let me give you an example. You can go look online at some of the rave parties.
Oh yeah, toga parties.
With all that,
different stuff.
somehow you don't see any of the same treatment by the police. Like again, what got me was once again in today's world it's different, which I applaud. In today's world, the consciousness of the white folks are, I see you ignoring me, and I'm going to tweet that. Remember, that's what they did again in New York. They had a whole series of tweets.
Right.
of white folks saying, "Look at me get away with shit because I'm white."
Right.
The cops saw us doing this, and this is how they talk to us. Hi there, Bobby. Oh, me. Come on, get out of here, you guys. I don't like that myself when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh
It's
yeah,
crazy.
they did a campaign. They did a tweet campaign of it. A lot of people volunteered, mostly from non-black, in Twitter and say, put all your experiences here that you know that you did something illegal and how the police treated you. And so it was a big following on it. That's about a year ago, maybe even a little bit more. And they just had listings of people talking about this. They just let me go. So, you know, see, my whole thing is you know, it kind of reminds me of my parents who sit there and say, if you know what you're going against in there, try to get away from the madness. And when you look at that video, I saw one or two guys sit up there and try to swing around and get behind this policeman from behind. Do you know you're walking into, regardless of what you're doing? I'm sitting there going, the guy
they're bolder than we were.
The guy is reporting. He's saying, I watched people, these kids, circle behind the policeman and come up from behind him. I said, okay.
No, that's how they get
imagine
shot.
You're a parent.
That's how they would get shot.
That's why I said the parents are going like this. You tried to like at that point.
Well, we think it's stupid. Now and again, it's totally stupid. But again, if you were blind, let me put it to you like this: don't be a pretty white woman. What do you get to run up to the police and do? Any goddamn thing you want. Right?
No, I'm only talking from the perspective of being a parent.
I am being a parent.
Yeah,
but it's just, and the world is not just. But remember, Lindsay Lohan gets to walk into jail and walk out, right?
Right.
Who gets to do that? So,
but not even a pretty white woman. Did you see that? Like about the time that he was talking about, probably a year or so ago, they had that. It was a big, scruffy white guy, and there was two policemen. I think they were in a restaurant, and he was swinging on them and trying to get their weapon and all that type stuff, and they were shooting him with rubber bullets and kind of pushing him off of him. If he would have been black, he would have got shot dead right there in that restaurant.
And these are things we all know. Not that we want other people to die, but again, the injustice. I always say, remember, it's amazing what a pretty woman will get.
Oh yeah.
Now here's what's so funny. Watch how they treat an unattractive woman, even a white one.
Right.
Can get dogged. This is where she just has to be unattractive enough, right?
It's subjective.
If she looks like a homeless white woman with the dirty teeth and all that, she might get treated like she black.
Oh wow!
She just might get. They might just say the dirt makes you look black, and therefore, of course, ladies and gentlemen,
that's pretty bad news right there.
Good news, bad news, the other shit today a little bit, but you know, other stuff. You get stuff coming. This looks better. Got some good stuff.
No puppies to make us feel better?
I didn't have any puppies today. No sneaky snack.